The Emperor's Reaper's Space Marine chapter is a loyalist crusading chapter of the Adeptus Astartes that loosely follows the dictates of the Codex Astartes. This ancient and venerable chapter can trace their lineage back to the second founding, which took place following the end of the Scouring, 7 years after the end of the dreadful Horus Heresy. It is unknown exactly whose lineage this mysterious chapter is actually descended from, but rumor and conjecture continues to abound amongst Imperial scholars. Extant reports from various battles across the galaxy indicate that the Emperor's Reapers excel in close-quarters action, often utilizing a wide variety of close-range weapons, ranging from chain weapons, power weapons, and even power scythes. This bygone and often shunned weapon is utilized exclusively by the chapter, one in which the Emperor's Reapers uses its primary weapon, above chain blades or other melee power weapons. The bellicose and mysterious Emperor's Reapers chapter are an enigma for which there are no easy answers. The more one delves into the extensive and oftentimes contradictory history of the chapter, only seems to turn up more questions than answers. What is known with absolute certainty is that the Emperor's Reapers are infamous for their relentless assaults in siege and trench warfare and specialize in the extensive use of terror tactics. Once unleashed against an enemy, they absolutely will not stop their assaults until all their foes are slain by their hands or by the sharpened blades of their deadly scythes. Another point of fact is that the chapter tends to make extensive use of a variety of various marks of power armor and can often be seen wearing different patterns ranging from the ancient Mark III Iron pattern to the advanced Mark VIII Errant pattern. Which first founding Space Marine Legion they are sired from remains a mystery, though some Imperial scholars speculate that they are perhaps the scions of one of the two lost and forgotten legions or made from loyalist elements of traitor stock. The only other clue of the chapter's true origins is that they have a tendency to idolize their chapter's founder, who was a hero that fought during both the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy era, and whose name is now lost to the passage of time. Like most chapters, the Emperor's Reapers hold the tenets of the Imperial truth in their minds. The cult within the chapter sees the viewing of the Emperor as a great warrior and the ultimate harbinger of death, and the Astartes of this chapter view themselves as his vengeful right hand, thus the reason for painting the battle plate of their entire right arm red. Tacticians throughout the Imperium have noticed that the tactics of the Emperor's Reapers are eerily reminiscent to those of the ancient 14th Legion, the Dusk Raiders, who would later come to be known by another, more infamous moniker, a name that would echo down the ages, the notorious Death Guard. This similar signature strategy to attack their foes at nightfall might be a clue as to the true origins of whom the Emperor's Reapers founders truly are. The chapter utilizes the ancient Albion tactic of conducting an assault as night falls and the gathering darkness shadows their advance across open ground. This is only done after the Reapers give their foes an ultimatum to surrender or face their wrath, instilling fear and panic in their mortal enemies as they begin to panic and desert their positions. Once the allotted time has passed and the sun sets, however, nothing will stay the executioner's hand of the Emperor's Reapers. The chapter then begins their all-out assault while screaming their battle cries to instill further panic and fear. They then typically launch a full assault comprised of large numbers of devastators, tactical marines and dreadnoughts to overwhelm their foes with overwhelming numbers and firepower and with little to no regards of casualties as they charge at their foes in a near unstoppable tide of steel and ceramite. Interestingly, members of the chapter show an abnormal level of endurance in that they are able to shake off wounds that would normally kill an average Astartes, thus allowing them to survive longer on the battlefield. When the Reapers take part in trench warfare, the chapter will cut the enemy forces off from supplies and will wait until their enemy's ammunition is near depleted, so that the Astartes can go for the close kill, or the desperate foe is forced to come to them. Another tactic the chapter is known to utilize is that of terror tactics. They accomplish this by leaving dismembered corpses around in enemy positions to break enemy morale. A noticeable deviation from the Codex in that the chapter's ranking system is identical to those ranks used during the Great Crusade. Some Imperial savants theorize that the chapter might be, in actuality, descended from remnants of a Dead Guard loyalist Black Shield force that turned against their treacherous former kin and continued to fight on behalf of the Emperor, despite the former Legion status as traitors. Possibly they might have been granted the Emperor's forgiveness for the sins of their former brothers, and allowed to continue to exist in the form of newly created second founding Space Marine chapter. But records from this bygone era are very difficult to come by or have been lost due to the passage of time. Or, quite possibly, the records of the chapter's true origins are sealed under inquisitorial mandate, as the nature of gene seed might be deemed controversial and cause a rift within the chapters of the Adeptus Astartes should the Reaper's gene sire be revealed. Whatever the truth, the debate still rages amongst Imperial scholars. When the returned Ultramarines Primarch Rabute Guilliman returned from his 10 millennia-long deathless slumber, he had ensured that the Emperor's Imperium would endure even in its darkest hour. Prepared for the ultimate contingency plan, the new Lord Commander of the Imperium introduced the genetically superior Primaris Space Marines, the next generation of Astartes transhuman warriors that would stand the galaxy's most stalwart defenders. When forces of Guilliman's Indomitus Crusade introduced the new Primaris Marines to the Emperor's Reapers chapter, they welcomed their new brothers with open arms. Once the chapter's apothecaries made some minor neurological alterations to all of their Primaris brethren and ensure their full hypno-indoctrination, only then did they finally view them as truly being ready to be added to their ranks. Despite the chapter's mysterious origins of its gene seed, reports indicate that the chapter shows no visible or extreme mutations, although their minor idiosyncrasies seem more biological than physical, seemingly granted the Astartes of this chapter unusual fortitude, enabling them to survive lethal blows and diseases with little to minor degree of damage. This genetic deviation has even spread to their Primaris brethren despite the 0.1% chance of such a thing occurring. This greater endurance allows the already formidable endurance of the Primaris Space Marines to formidable levels akin to that of walking Predator tanks. To enhance the Primaris even further, the chapter's Tech Marines have modified the armor of the Primaris Marines with extra armor and integrated melee weapons, and primarily use these deadly warriors for siege warfare. The Emperor's Reapers chapter primarily wears bone-colored battle plate with the exception of the sabatons and top of the backpack being painted solid black in color. The armor of the entire right arm, including the shoulder pauldron, coutre, elbow guard, vambras, and gauntlet, are painted the deep red of freshly spilled blood, which signifies the chapter's belief that they are the red right hand of the Emperor's vengeance. Both palanes, knee guards, are also painted deep red in color. The trim of both shoulder pauldrons, as well as the aquila or imperiales on the chest guard, are gold in color. A white-colored squad specialty stenciled upon the right shoulder pauldron indicates an individual battle brother's assigned combat speciality: tactical, devastator, assault, and veteran. A small white Roman numeral stenciled on the inset of the right shoulder pauldron indicates squad assignment. A white Roman numeral stenciled on the left polane indicates company assignment. The Astartes of the chapter have been observed wearing high amounts of ancient variants of power armor patterns ranging from Mark III all the way through the newer Mark VIII patterns, and seem to primarily utilize relic cataphracti and Tartarus patterns of Terminator armor over the standard Indomitus pattern commonly worn by other chapters' veteran elite. Another noticeable detail of the chapter is how they utilize the various patterns of power armor amongst their Astartes, with Mark VIII errant pattern armor being reserved for veterans, while Relic Mark VI Corvus pattern, along with ancient Mark III iron pattern, is often utilized by the chapter's tactical and assault squads. Mark V Heresy pattern is reserved for the use by the chapter's Devastator squads, while Mark IV Maximus patterns are utilized by the chapter's librarians, tech marines, and officers. Mark VII Aquila pattern armor is often utilized by the members of the Elite First Company, which bears its own unique color scheme. Most of their battle plate is painted black. Due to this preference, the members of this elite company have come to be known as the Shroud Company.